Hello there gang, and welcome to the first video in our nutrition series where I'm going to be teaching you across 3 different videos about nutrition, and I'm going to try and make it nice and simple for you. The first one that we're going to be going through is calories and what it is that they are for the human body. The second one we're going to be going through is different food groups and what it is they can do for you, and the third one we're going to be going through is simple methods of how you can create a diet that works for you. So the first one we're getting into is calories, what they are. You might have heard of calories before. You probably heard that some people out there count calories to be able to lose weight or to gain weight. And I'm not saying that you need to count calories out there to get the results that you're after, but you do need to understand what calories are so you understand why your weight goes up and down in the first place. All calories are is the energy that's found within food. And basically, calories are to humans what petrol is towards a car. It's just the fuel that you need on a day-to-day basis to do all of your daily tasks. Now, every single person needs a different amount of calories in the same kind of way that every single car needs a different amount of fuel. It would be no surprise at all that a Ford Fiesta does not need as much fuel as a big van. In the same way that if we get two people who don't exercise, one of them is 5'5" and 150 pounds, the other one is 6 foot tall and 300 pounds. The person who's 6 foot tall and 300 pounds is going to use more calories on a day-to-day basis by default just because they are bigger and heavier. They need more energy to sustain what they are. However, you will get instances where a smaller person burns more calories than a bigger one if they're more powerful, same like you would have with a car if a car was more powerful. If you get a person who's 5'8", 170 pounds, they're fairly low body fat, they're quite muscular, and they train very often, they're probably going to burn more calories than a person who's 6 foot tall, 300 pounds, but doesn't really exercise at all. In the same kind of way that a Ferrari would need more fuel than a van. No surprise. But no matter what person you are, there's a certain amount of calories that you need on a day-to-day basis to maintain the weight that you are right now. We simply call this your maintenance calories. And let's just say, for example, this here is how many calories you need to maintain weight. Now let's say you eat a bit more than that. What happens with this excess calories? Well, these excess calories, we will store them in our bank to use at a later date. And that bank is our body fat. Every single day that we eat more calories than what it is that we need, we will always bank this away and add it towards the body fat bank. And over time, that's what makes us gain weight. In the same way that if we need this many calories, but we're only eating this many calories, we still need to make up for this energy deficit. It's what our body needs. So we would turn to the bank and we would use these stored calories to make up for the energy deficit. And that's what gets us to lose fat over time. Now you might wonder, well, how much excess energy do I need to eat to gain 1 pound of fat or to lose 1 pound of fat? Well, 1 pound of fat contains 3,500 calories worth of energy. So we need to eat an excess of 3,500 calories. It doesn't matter whether that's over the course of a day, a week, or a month. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that you need 2,000 calories per day to maintain your weight, but you eat 2,500 calories per day. So you're eating a 500 calorie excess. Well, if we did that every single day for the course of a week, eventually we would have banked 500 times 7 days worth of calories, which would be 3,500 calories. So we would put on 1 pound of body fat in a week. And then the same if we reverse that. If this person needs 2,000 calories and we put them on 1,500 calories, so they're in a 500 calorie daily energy deficit, and we do that every single day, over the course of a week, they would take out 3,500 calories from the body fat bank to make up the energy deficit, and they would lose 1 pound of fat. This number, of course, can go up and down even more if we just eat even more or we eat even less. I.e., if this person who has 2,000 calories a day to maintain their weight eats 3,000 calories per day, they're going to gain 2 pounds of fat per week. And if they need 2,000 calories per day, but they only eat 1,000, they're going to lose 2 pounds of fat per week. But there are different ways that we can change what your energy demands are. In the same way that a car is going to need more fuel across the day if it just drives further, a person is going to need more calories across the day if they lead a more active lifestyle. Just walking 10,000 steps per day for the average person burns off around an extra 500 calories per day. So if our example person who needed 2,000 calories a day to maintain their weight and they did no exercise now starts doing 10,000 steps per day, they're going to need 2,500 calories a day right now to maintain their weight. Typically, it's activity is the main reason why people start gaining more weight as time goes by as they get older. Because usually once people get past about the age of 25, they start leading a more sedentary lifestyle. They go from maybe an active job to a job where they're just sitting down all day, like in the case of taxi drivers. So their energy demands start going down as they are leading a less active lifestyle, but they're having the same food habits as before or getting worse with them. And that's what causes the weight to pile on pretty rapidly over the years. Now you might wonder to yourself as well, can another person gain fat quicker than another person when they're eating the same foods? No. You might think that you just look at a cake and gain 5 pounds and your mate looks at a cake and, gets leaner the next day. Chances are you're either just eating largely more in excess than what you think you are, or the other person leads a much more active lifestyle than what you give them credit for. I think that's going to be enough for today. I don't really want to make this subject too complex for you if it's the first time that you've heard it, but hopefully by now you have a greater understanding of calories, how important it is that they are, how it is that you can make your weight go up and down. If you want to get an idea of how many calories it is that you need on a day-to-day basis, you can go to a website like tdecalculator.net. This is a website that takes into account your age, your height, your weight, your activity levels, and it gives you an estimation of how many calories it is that you need to maintain your present weight. I just hope that you've learned a thing or two from this video, and I hope that you stay tuned for the next one. Until then, peace out, guys.